Despite being very optimistic and excited for Sumeru, I will just say this. Sumeru will make or break Genshin Impact, from both a gameplay and narrative perspective. And from listening to the people's thoughts online, in all honesty, while Inazuma was anticipated because it's a new region, Sumeru was anticipated because of all the things it teased. So today, I want to give my 2 cents on this topic. But before that, thank you to Dungeon Fighter Online for sponsoring this video. Dungeon Fighter Online is a 2D MMORPG with retro pixel graphics where you can join action-packed raids and dungeons with players from all over the world. There are 60 unique characters and over 60 class advancements with their own cool story, concept, and fighting style techniques. DFO features amazing hit effects and combos with beautiful animations for each class. And to keep the content fresh, updates and events rotate every 2 weeks so players get to explore the world. And one of those events is a level 100 warm-up where you can power level your characters to level 100 and get cool high-level equipment, potions, tickets, and basically everything you need for your new character. And if you think level 100 is the end, you are absolutely wrong. With the new level cap update to level 110, you can get event materials called New Stories to upgrade your gear and weapons. Also, if you want to create multiple characters, you can also get the Equipment Rental Services event that lend you high-end level 100 gear for up to 3 characters. But for the newbies on the other hand, they've got the Newbies Always Welcome event where you can party up with veteran users to learn neat tricks and tips for dungeons. So download Dungeon Fighter Online now and use the coupon code in the description for free goodies. Oh, and if you want to play with me, I'm playing a Dimension Walker named the Balladeer. Now before I begin, I just want to say that this isn't limited to just Sumeru. Once Fontaine and Natlan come rolling around, what I said in this video can be very much applied. Big content updates carry so much weight to a product because of all the hype they can give, and Sumeru is basically a DLC at this point. Oh, and when I say Sumeru, I mean the whole 3.x saga, not just 3.0. Genshin has a habit of patching things up slowly to a respectable state, so I'll be talking about all of this in context to that. But that's why updates are crucial to this game. The first reason that Sumeru can make or break Genshin is because a new region release usually means the remedying of past mistakes that Mondstadt, Liyue, and Inazuma had. Sumeru, because it's a new region, is expected to be a breath of fresh air, a spark of interest in the game much like Inazuma. It's basically a DLC, but while there is new content, Sumeru needs to also address the past gameplay problems that people have been talking about. Having no expectations for a game is virtually impossible. And if you tell yourself you have no expectations, you're probably lying to yourself. Which is why when the community voices their concerns about Genshin from a gameplay perspective, it's expected that something is done about them. A new region's release is potentially the biggest update that the game could ever get, and this includes gameplay adjustments. Sumeru being a new region gives us the opportunity to finally tackle the concerns people have had for at least 2 years. One good example of this is that players had concerns about the way that chests in Liyue and Mondstadt only had the chance of dropping Primogems, so in Inazuma, that stopped being the case, which is why Inazuma felt more rewarding wish-wise. Inazuma increased the amount of update content by separating the islands instead of giving them all in one go. I hope that Sumeru takes what Inazuma, Mondstadt, and Liyue did correctly, but fixes the problems that they had. Resin refresh updates, different takes on puzzles, new cutscene filters that they tried in 2.7 and 2.8, repeatable permanent content based on player feedback, permanent quests through the Archon Quest interlude system, ways to enhance player retention without feeling like a daily chore, an increase to monthly Primogem rewards for players. Sumeru is expected to be the place where things get better. Hoyo has time and time again asked the player about their concerns of Genshin through the surveys, but haven't done massive consistent changes to address the problems we've been hearing about for so long. So Sumeru is the perfect time to introduce something really big to Genshin that will really help the community in terms of player retention. The gameplay doesn't have to fundamentally change. For example, Resin doesn't have to be completely removed, or the current Spiral Abyss shouldn't be removed from the game. But the community is at least expecting that some of the fundamental problems of Genshin are addressed and fixed in some way. Or, on the flip side, they don't. The worst that can happen is that the game stays the same with the same issues and the same problems. The game doesn't adjust to anything the player base says about both gameplay and story quality. The worst that can happen is that we get the hype of Sumeru and its regions for the first 2 weeks of a patch, and then it dies horribly down with no consistent replayable content except for the daily commissions and domains. Same old, same old. None of the player base's gameplay concerns are addressed, and the game becomes fundamentally stagnant, which is really the worst case scenario. The second reason Sumeru is a massive make or break is that Sumeru is the midpoint of the story and has the greatest potential of becoming a game changer compared to the previous 3 nations. I think we can all agree that the most interesting part of a story is the midpoint leading up to the climax. A story can have a really strong introduction but slowly fade out into an obsolete midpoint which really kills the story's vibe. The midpoint of the story is the part where the author trusts you to finally understand the atmosphere of the story and finally start adding in new stakes. There is a reason the Harbingers are now all introduced. The story of Genshin is slowly becoming darker and grittier. From Mondstadt and Liyue showing us really big fights against godlike creatures straight from fantasy novels, to Inazuma showing us the more human side of conflict, human ambition, politics, and everything in between. There's a reason that Inazuma's character quests have a more serious atmosphere, and Sumeru will also need to show its cards once the nation drops. As I've said in the intro, the reason Sumeru's story has much more weight and expectations is because of the manga, and other things in the lore that were built up. Even if you don't consume any theorist content, it's hard not to follow threads that Hoyo gave these characters unless you're actively just not playing or reading them. Inazuma's potential emotional stakes were introduced through Kazuha, and didn't have the time to grow like Sumeru's threads. Just hearing the themes of schools, wisdom, knowledge has the potential to tell the traveler all the secrets of Tevat, and stuff like that. On the flip side, human experimentation was something tackled in the manga, and the idea of people disliking the Sumeru academia and the nation itself being seeded as far as Lisa makes players wonder. Genshin's active storytelling, not lore, has been very tame, with the largest active narrative stakes given to the NPCs. The reason I say Sumeru and its Archon quest can make or break the narrative is because if it destroys the careful pretense that Inazuma started, which is introducing the more grittier questions about visions, the Fatui, or even Celestia, then the side of the community playing for the story will get bored. And the third part about it is if Sumeru gets boring, story or gameplay-wise, then that Genshin Burnout will have long-term consequences to the community. Genshin Impact is currently facing a weird trend where there's an indeterminate number of players per content release. Genshin's content was never meant to be consumed consistently like other games, but that doesn't mean that people won't leave or be burnt out. While I'm a content creator myself, I am really happy that I covered the lore instead of the gameplay. The lore is extensive and can be covered for hours on end, but the consistent game state is lacking for a better term. As someone that doesn't actually play Genshin for long periods of time and just plays for the story and then leaves after the big event quests, I've come to terms with the fact that not playing Genshin is a part of playing Genshin. But that doesn't make it any better. Long periods of withdrawal can really impact the user base because some people enjoy long forms of content without the fear of missing out. Limited event quests start becoming tedious. Daily commissions and Spiral Abyss resets are a chore, and Genshin's style of temporary minigame galore is a hit or miss, which is why a lot of people are waiting for Sumeru. It's supposed to be new, supposed to be fresh, and supposed to improve Genshin. Maybe not inherently fix everything, but certainly address things that need to be improved on. But personally, I'm optimistic. I'm not saying Sumeru is gonna be bad or anything. If anything, from what we've seen so far, it looks pretty good. I absolutely love the hints they're giving and the trailer looks phenomenal. But I just wanted to give my 2 cents on why I personally think the Sumeru update is going to be big and important for Genshin. But that's it for me today. Thank you to Dungeon Fighter Online for sponsoring this video, and click the link below to download the game. Use the promo code for free goodies. Anyway, my name is Aster and thank you for chilling with me.